the silence. Truth ain't taking pauses. We the people Wednesday. Speak loud, speak clear. Screech owls calling. Red's got your ear.
We the People Wednesday will begin in just a few short minutes, folks. If you want to be a part of the conversation, you still have time to jump over to the VIP Backstage Lounge at RiponRabbitHole.com. If you are listening on demand, go ahead and fast forward to about the 3-minute mark and you will jump into tonight's live show. Stay tuned, folks. Show starts soon.
Late night highway, headlights chasing dreams. The RiponRabbitHole ain't as crazy as it seems. Ain't no polished lines, just hearts and fire. We the people Wednesday. Speak loud, speak clear. Screech owls calling. Red's got your...
RiponRabbitHole is a community-driven radio. At times the community comments may reveal prejudices and other beliefs that we or our sponsors do not condone. Views or opinions expressed by the community, callers, or guests are those of the individual speaking and do not represent the views or opinions of this site. Ripon Common Sense content is intended for mature audiences only. Enjoy.
Late night highway, headlights chasing dreams. The RiponRabbitHole ain't as crazy as it seems. Ain't no polished lines, just hearts and fire. We the people Wednesday, shout what's real. Screech owls watching. Red's got the wheel. Eyes wave in the static air. Freedom's crackling everywhere. Every voice matters. Every voice dares.
Good evening and welcome to We the People Wednesday. It is Wednesday, July 15th, 2026. I am Screech Owl Scott,
And I am Red.
and we want to thank you, our co-hosts, for joining us right here on Ripon Common Sense Radio, where your voice will be heard around the world as we discuss hot topics, recent news, and new developments. If you've dialed up We the People Wednesday, congratulations! You can now declare yourself one of the We the People people. If you're listening on Rumble or over on YouTube, please give We the People a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so that you will receive notifications each and every time we go live. If you want to join the We the People conversation, hop on over to RiponRabbitHole.com. Click on the 24/7 tab in the taskbar. Scroll down until you see the backstage. Click on that big red Enter Now button. Allow the permissives and join the fun. The Backstage Lounge is free and always will be. It's a great place to meet new friends and talk about anything that you want to. And we can speak from experience when we say that you will often find We the People people deep into the early AM hours. That's RiponRabbitHole.com. RiponRabbitHole.com. We've got just a few very simple rules. If you join the conversation, we ask that you raise your hand when you have something that you want to say, and always remain respectful to others, no matter what their opinion might be.
Exactly. And before we start, I'd like to say happy birthday to my mom. It's her birthday today. She's a ripe old age, is 76. So happy birthday, Mom.
So the owl-in-law is 76 today.
Yes, she is.
Happy birthday, Nancy Owl.
Nancy Owl.
And before we kick off the show, Red, we did have a passing over the weekend. Someone who became friends, and it didn't start out with the idea they were going to become friends.
Right.
But some of you, if you listen to my shows going way back, there was a point where I had Jean Hertler on my show to talk about the Restored Republic.
Yep. She wrote a few books. Re-Inhabited. I don't know the full title. I apologize, Jean. But There we go. Restored Republic, or I mean, Re-inhabited, which is to restore our republic. There's at least 2 volumes of that. And then she's wrote some other books, and her husband co-wrote the 2 books with her.
And her and David have been active in really saving our republic.
Yes, and trying to restore it back to the original Constitution.
Many, many years. And David, Jean's husband, passed away over the weekend with family at his side. So our condolences go out to Jean and the rest of the Hertler family during this very trying times. And we just ask that you hold them in your prayers as they navigate some troubling days ahead.
Absolutely.
But they will be left with, David was a godly man, and they know that David is dancing with Jesus right now, and
Amen.
They will celebrate his life, and just wonderful people. And like I said, Red, Dave, we've seen them on a number of occasions through a mutual acquaintance, and come to know them very well. And
they are the most honest, godly, sweetest. I mean, I can't even think of other words to describe them, because they're amazing people. They really are.
And have put so much into, and for them it was the same reasons we do at Red. It was about their grandchildren, and that was one of the things that was in David's obituary. He wanted to make sure his grandchildren had a republic to live in moving forward, and they've dedicated his retirement to fighting to restore a republic. So,
and you're right, Corey. He will continue to help from the other side, and he's got the perfect view to see all of this. I would have loved to have been able to watch him, or see him be here on Earth, to watch everything
and to celebrate
progress.
When that happens.
Yes,
but
he has the perfect view from heaven.
He was called home, but again, our condolences to Jean and the rest of the Hertler family. We love you, Jean, and just know that if there's anything we can do,
absolutely,
don't hesitate to ask. So with that, what else is new, Red? It's hotter than blazes here in Wisconsin, folks. If I don't know what the temperature is. Maybe put it in the chat where you are, where the temperature is. It cooled off a little bit today.
Well, I've said it before. I do jewelry. I sell surprise jewelry on TikTok, and one of the girls that I have become friends with, a fellow consultant, she lives in Flagstaff, Arizona, and I was talking to her yesterday while she was live. And she was telling me, gosh, it's so darn hot down here, blah, 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 whatever. It was actually hotter in Wisconsin than it was in Arizona.
And Red,
I was like, wow.
Red, you and I lived in Vegas for 5 years, and there's something to be said about the dry heat. There is a difference.
There definitely is a difference.
I worked outside in Vegas, and it would be 115 degrees, and I didn't perspire near as much as I do when it's
humid,
like 90 or 95 here with 60% humidity levels. So it's been just unbearably hot. Thankfully, our air conditioning is working, and we haven't spent too much time outside other than our beach day on Sunday.
Yes. And I will say, Corey says it's smoky out.
It is.
We had ashes falling in Green Bay this afternoon.
No kidding, Corey. I didn't know that. I know that I ran a couple errands this afternoon, and it was so hazy, and at least where we live, you could smell. It smells like a campfire out there, like a very faint one.
And then Amanda says it's 93 northwest Wisconsin, very smoky here too. Tommy says smoky, hot, 80. And RJ says putrid air here too.
Yeah, and it's up north. I mean, so we're talking about the wildfires in Canada and northern Minnesota, and I'm told the air quality in northern Wisconsin. So you exercise caution if you're going to be spending time outdoors, because I heard that the air quality is very, very poor in northern Wisconsin right now. So to our listeners up there.
Yeah, and Amanda says it's not 93 now. It was today. And Wetzel says it's hot here at work. So, oh boy,
And
I can imagine.
I know Wetzel works in a manufacturing facility, so I imagine that I don't miss those days at all.
No, I don't either, because I know when I worked at Anderson Windows, it was it was so unbearable.
So we've got a few things to talk about, Red, and of course, so before we go any further, we are not on air tomorrow night.
No, not tomorrow night,
we-
because we are
we-
going to listen to the great President of the United States of America.
So
President Trump.
What we've got going tomorrow night, folks, is if you want to join us to watch President Trump's address to the nation, which begins at 8 p.m. Central Time, right here in the VIP Backstage Lounge. It's not going to be aired, and we made that decision as a network because we hate to take viewers away from President Trump. And we know the millions of people that want to listen to Tin Hat Thursday, and we'd rather that they listen to President Trump tomorrow night. So,
Which is supposed to also be about elections.
exactly, and that's kind of why we wanted to talk about elections a little bit tonight. But and one of the questions that I want to ask is, what do you hope President Trump says tomorrow night? Let's put that out there tonight too. What are the expectations? What do people want to see happen from President Trump tomorrow night? And then tomorrow night after he's done, then we can talk about, did it happen?
Yep,
and did it meet your expectations?
have our discussion back here.
So tomorrow night at 8 p.m., come on back to the VIP Backstage Lounge. We'll all have our mics off while President Trump is speaking, and then after he has completed his address to the nation, we can have that very
In-depth
discussion about
our
what,
debriefing. It'll be, and grab your snacks so we can all have our debriefing meal like we do.
and
on a traditional
maybe at one
event.
point, Red, we can all turn on our cameras and we can take the selfie. I'll
Oh,
hold
there
up
you
the
go.
camera and I'll take a selfie of all the faces participating in the debriefing.
That'll be the first virtual
It'll be a
debriefing
virtual debriefing.
meal.
So let's talk,
Pop
Red.
the popcorn and enjoy the show, Corey says. I
Well,
agree.
let's hope so. And Corey, later on, we'll have you chime in and share what you want to see or what you want to hear President Trump say tomorrow night. Because I think many of us probably agree on some of the things that we want to hear.
Oh yeah,
But we'll talk about that later.
right.
But we've got a mess, Red, in Wisconsin, and that's why President Trump has to address this. And
It's funny that you mentioned that because Friday, we did a lot of stuff on Friday. My uncle's funeral was on Friday, so we went over to that, and that was actually in the afternoon. And later on in the afternoon, around 4 o'clock, we went to my grandson's graduation party, which was actually in the same town. However, now mind you, my dad never talks politics. He never, ever talks politics, but he will listen. And I was really shocked that after the funeral, when we were having our little luncheon, I don't know if he was doing it to kind of rile somebody up or not, or I don't know what the case was, but he brought up some politics, and yeah, the discussion ended up going on over from, the end of the funeral over to my grandson's graduation party, and we'll be talking about what's going on up in Green Bay, but we discussed it, my cousin and I discussed it on Friday, and I tell you, people tell me all the time, oh, people are waking up, waking up, waking up. I still am trying to find those people that are waking up, because she sure the heck isn't.
well, I can tell you in the backstage, those people are waking up.
Thank God.
They're wide awake.
Yes.
But you're right. Your cousin is still in La La Land, believing anything that's said on mainstream media, and a bit surprising because she's former military. She's had governmental jobs.
Yes, and that's that's why she says that everything's all hunky-dory fine, and she defended the election clerk up in Green Bay. She defended the Judge Dugan down in Milwaukee. She said that Doge is lying to us, and she was full of
She defended the prosecution of Harry Waite.
yes.
It was
Even
it
though
could've-
until she defended the prosecution until after I showed her the My Vote stuff.
Yes.
And then she didn't know what to say. And my dad, mind you, like I said, he doesn't speak politics normally, but he's the one that brought it up in both instances. And when I was having the discussion with my cousin, I kind of looked over at my dad, and here he's sitting there with this shit-ass grin on his face, just like loving it.
And I was kicking you, Red, because
yes, you were.
I had told you, let's just not talk about politics at our grandson's graduation.
And I said I wasn't going to unless somebody brought it up.
And you had to cross that line.
Somebody brought it up.
And I'm gonna kick you harder next time, because sometimes we just have to let it go.
I know, but you know what?
You're lucky
you need to educate people too.
You're lucky I didn't have my cowboy boots on, or your shins would be bruised up bad.
By the way, he was wearing his cowboy hat all day, so
I was.
He was trying to be Rip again.
All right, Red. So let's talk about Green Bay. For the second consecutive election, it happened in the spring election.
Yep.
It happened again.
And mind you, April, no less.
So, folks, what we're talking about is duplicate absentee ballots being mailed to voters' homes. In the spring, I think it was, and some people are going to say, well, it was only 150 or whatever that number was.
I think it was 200. Corey can tell us for sure, but
whatever. But it was duplicate ballots, and there will be some who will say, well,
244.
244. Corey yelled in. And I don't know what the final tally was.
It was Melinda.
Oh, it was Melinda. I don't know what the final tally was.
Yeah, that's what our attorney said, 244, but it could be up to 390. They weren't totally sure.
Okay. And it happened again as we prepare now for the primary for the fall election. And I don't know what that number was, and maybe Melinda knows. Maybe she knows this most
I apologize. So I thought that's what you were talking about. It was 152 the first time, 244 the second time. But the attorney said that there's evidence that there was up to 390 double. And I apologize if that's a problem for me interrupting you, but I wanted to just let you know.
No, absolutely not. If you can offer clarity to my audience, that would be great. And folks, the voice that you were hearing is Alderperson Melinda Eck out of Green Bay, one of the good ones that we have on the city council in Green Bay.
Absolutely.
And I'm actually going to play a video that I think was put out today.
I'm not sure when it was put out, but
well, I received it today.
Yes, so, and it has Miss Eck in the video. So
let's go ahead and play that, and then if anybody has any thoughts about what happened, and maybe Melinda can share more about what's going to happen next in the city of Green Bay.
And I will tell you what my cousin's excuse was after all of that.
So let me play this video very quickly. It's not a very long one.
No, it's like 3 minutes, you might as well say.
Duplicate ballot investigation to the Wisconsin Elections Commission must also be shared publicly at an August Common Council meeting. The investigation stems from duplicate ballots sent out by the office of City Clerk Celestine Jeffries in two consecutive elections. Jeffries was placed on administrative leave last week. Alders say their request to release the report is about transparency. They say making the findings public could help rebuild confidence in the city's election processes. Local 5's Paul Stino has the story.
For Green Bay Alders Jennifer Grant and Melinda Eck, the original plan was to submit this resolution Monday afternoon at the Protection and Policy Committee meeting. The resolution asked for an independent audit of the city's election processes after the ballot mistakes.
When I submitted my resolution, Alder Grant signed on to, it was ahead of WEC meeting, so we wanted to put it out there and make sure that people knew we were doing something about it.
But now that the Wisconsin Elections Commission has officially launched an investigation, the ask from the Alders has now changed. They are now requesting that any report the city turns into the Wisconsin Elections Commission as part of their investigation into the duplicate ballot gets presented publicly to the entire Common Council during their August meeting.
Are you guys confident that WEC did a sufficient job investigating, confident that process?
I think so, and that's why we're requesting the presentation of what they're submitting because I do think WEC will do proper investigating.
On Monday afternoon, the city's Protection and Policy Committee approving the request for the city to publicly share its reports from the investigation at the council's August 18th meeting.
It gives the council an opportunity to ask questions, and residents have concerns, they can bring it to us. We can ask those questions at that meeting from staff for any more clarification.
On Monday, Alders Grant declined to answer a question about whether they have confidence that Celestine Jeffries can still be trusted to administer elections for the city, citing the ongoing investigation. However, folks at the meeting Monday did not shy away from this question.
Celestine is now sitting at home when she's not able to prepare for the August 11th election, hamstringing the city from having more reliable elections by sending her home.
In all the years that I was clerk, I have never seen such a poor performance as what Green Bay has had in the last 5 years.
In Green Bay, Dino Local 5 News.
So, folks, that was from our local news, and again, that was Alders, Eck, and Grant. And I want to talk about this a little bit further, but I thought as long as Melinda was in the backstage, I thought it would be cool to play that early on in the show and allow her to speak on that if she wants to. Now, you did two Alders wouldn't answer the question about whether or not they believe Celestine Jeffries can adequately handle these elections, but I'm gonna side with these two women, especially the last one who said
Sandy Juneau,
that it's been crazy for the last 5 years.
It has, and I'm sitting here thinking, I said to you, how in the world can you have this big of a mess up in 2 elections? Not to mention, you go from April, it happened, to June. It's only a couple months, people. So how in the world can you have that kind of a mess up? So I will say I was going to wait until afterwards, but when I brought it up to my cousin on Friday, she said, well, I used to be an election clerk. Mind you, this is in Nebraska. And she said, I can see where that happens because those labels come out so quick and you don't pay attention to where those or what's on those labels, and you just take the labels off and put them on the absentee ballots and you send them out. And I'm like, I looked at her and I kind of put my finger up and I said, you know what? There's the problem right there. You weren't paying attention.
Well, I
don't care how fast those ballot or labels come out. Pay attention.
Well, there has to be a system of checks and balances so that we're not duplicating ballots. But let's not forget that Celestine Jeffries, we can go back to 2020, and there were questionable things, and we've heard the name before.
Oh, we've heard it several times.
Let's talk about the school board. And when you and I and Corey went undercover and started knocking on doors and hiding in the cars and shooting videos of a school board member who didn't live in the district.
And she knew about it for a year.
And sat on it.
Yes.
This is a problem. And if anybody's got anything to say, please just raise your hand. Amanda did point out, that she's lost all faith in elections. And unfortunately, some of the things that I've been seeing on social media this week, Red, have been the lack of participation. It's hard to get volunteers to knock on doors. It's hard to get volunteers to walk in parades. It's hard to engage the people who normally are engaged. And is this part of what's happening?
Yep,
have people
I
lost
think so
much faith in our elections that they're just saying, screw it, I'm not going to waste my time because the elections the outcomes are determined or somebody's going to cheat? And is that why people aren't participating?
I believe so, but that's, I think, part of it. Go ahead, Corey. I see your hand up.
Well, I have to speak to that. Thank you for doing this show tonight. But I do think that one of the problems we have is fatigue. Many people back here, we get it. We've been doing this for 6 years now. Mm-hmm. And we're tired of it. We just haven't seen anything result in anything. We watched Harry get sentenced, wrongly convicted, in my opinion. So it's difficult to want to keep going forward. I think one thing that feels hopeful today is tomorrow's address from President Trump. I'm fearful that we're not going to get kind of the stuff that we are hoping to get. And for some of us, we need the deeper stuff. But the problem is, he's not going to satisfy us, but he is going to give us information for the average citizen that they can only absorb so much, they can only consume so much, they can only understand so much, that they can't. We might be disappointed, but we have to I mean, I hate to say this, but we have to trust the plan a little bit, because here we sit. We're the most, people that have been following and studying elections and how they're stolen, and we're the most frustrated. We look to our leaders to do things like Melinda and Jen stood up, and yet we also have to remember Melinda has to walk that line a little bit when she's talking to the media. She has good relationship with the media. If she goes too hard against WEC, guess what? We're not going to hear from Melinda.
Exactly.
And that's that she keeps doing that. So she's a really good mediator that way, and she understands and gets the game. So we could be frustrated that she's not going hard enough against WEC, but if you do, you're silenced. The media won't cover it. So I think
absolutely, and I hope nobody thought that my comment meant that I was disappointed that she wasn't more aggressive there, because I completely understand. And you make a very valid point, Corey.
But I did read something right before the show, and I think that's probably what you were trying to print off. They were talking about how President Trump has fired the election commissioners in D.C., which there was 2 of them were Democrats and 1 Republican, but the Republican ended up resigning, which means any new machines or outdated machines cannot be certified for the upcoming election.
So are they going to have to hand count them?
That I thought was really interesting.
Are they going to have to hand count them then?
I don't know.
Because
it'll take a couple months.
It'll take a couple months
according to Nate Pownall.
So Melinda has her hand raised. Melinda, first of all, I want to tip my hat to you and Alder Grant for taking this initiative for some transparency for the people of Green Bay. I am so proud of you, and
absolutely
just what a great job of demanding transparency. So go ahead, you had your hand raised.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So we, as far as there was, the couple questions asked during the interview, and we, as far as whether we have trust in Celestine, if you were there, you'd have probably laughed at my face when he asked me, because I was like, I hesitated, but I knew I wasn't going to say, much about it. And then Jen jumped in and said, we're waiting for the investigation to happen. So we're not, we're not going to answer that because why? At this point, we're waiting for the investigation to come through. There really isn't a benefit for us to make it look like it's a witch hunt. Let it play out. I think everybody knows how we feel. Obviously, we're pushing hard. We're putting on the pressure. I mean, I just kind of to give a background, because, and I made this clear at the protection policy meeting on Monday. I started off and I said I just wanted to clarify, because I've seen some reports in the media where it made it look like that I filed my communication the day after WEC's decision, when in fact when I found out about the duplicate ballot error was over the weekend. Like on Sunday, we got a message from our communications director, and on Monday morning, I submitted my communication with that resolution requesting an independent audit. So immediately I did something about it, and also I let Fox 11 know, and so I was interviewed by Tony Langfellow that day. Later on, and I mentioned that I put in this communication. Now, because of the timing, so when you fill out the form online for the older communication, there was only like to talk about it as soon as possible. So
hold on one second. I'm gonna stop.
Okay.
Just gonna pause it.
I'm just gonna pause the music there. Okay, go ahead.
So I immediately sent an email to our city attorney and our chief of operations and the mayor. And I said I wasn't given the option on this form for putting it on the city council agenda under committee of the whole. So I would like to make that request. And honestly, I've never done that before, but this is important. And I talked to the city attorney and she said that can be done. It just needs the permission of either the mayor or the city council president, which as we know is Alder Alyssa Prophet. And I said, okay. And she said, and I'll go right into the mayor's office and talk to him. So I figured, okay, this is covered. Well, then the agenda came out and it wasn't on there. So I called our attorney and I said, what happened? And she said, neither the mayor nor the city or Alyssa Prophet would approve your request. And I got no call, no email, no text, nothing from either one of them. Actually, and in fact, our attorney, she apologized to me. She said, you should have gotten an email letting you know that your item was declined. So that's why it didn't come until Monday. But in the meantime, WEC did meet and they're doing an investigation. So we changed our resolution or our agenda item. We just said, we're going to, instead of the resolution, because we already have that audit, is we asked that there be a report given to us during council that revealed all of the information that our attorneys have to, the clerk's office / attorneys, to give to WEC. They have two deadlines. One's July 31st, one's August 14th. So our council meeting is August 18th. So they have to come with a report of everything that they submitted to WEC to our August 18th meeting. And it got approved. Oh, and we added, and we also urged the mayor to look, and the HR department to check into personnel issues and interview current and past employees regarding that. So we're looking to, hopefully he'll make some decisions based on that, if you know what I'm saying, as far as the clerk or whoever else is part of that. And Alder Prophet tried to pass it without that second part in, and we were in the back kind of waving to Alder Morgan, who's on that committee. And he's like, well, I make a motion to amend as requested, meaning us. And so we clarified, and Alder Prophet's like, well, I'm not, comfortable because it's not in front of me that, I'm not uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable making a motion for words that aren't in front of me. So Jen Alder Grant goes, well, would you like me to read it again? So she did. And I said, and she'll text it to you, because her and I were like using her phone to type in everything we wanted to say. So she had it on her phone and she passed it along. And so they did approve it. We'll see what happens on Tuesday during our council meeting, but that is what happened. And then yesterday, I also submitted an email with a bunch of requests to our attorney and saying, I know we're getting that report on August 18th. However, we have an election between now and then. So I gave her a bunch of questions like, what is your process? Who's going to be running the elections on August 11th? And, a whole list of things, because obviously in the meantime, we've got an election and we're not going to hear the report until after that. And I want people to be comfortable that it's being handled and who's handling it.
Right. So you put in a request for the answers to those questions, and I'm assuming you're expecting to receive those responses, correct? Like who's going to run the election?
The attorney. Yeah. And she, I'll be honest, she did verbally tell me some of the answers, but I want it in written form so that I can share it with the public in the meantime.
And this transparency regarding the investigation, what was submitted to WEC, that all that information is going to be available to the residents of Green Bay. Am I correct?
That's exactly what we're asking for. Yes, they will give us a report at our next council meeting on August 18th with everything that they've submitted to WEC. And we did that because we wanted it available to the public so that there is transparency. I mean, I know it's going to take a lot, but we want people to feel more comfortable with elections as much as we can do. And obviously the clerk is on administrative leave. She does not have access to any of the files right now, but she does, and she is paid, but she has to be available between 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. I asked all these questions to our attorney, that's why I know. But she has to be available during those times in case they have questions about the investigation. So that is standard for them to get paid during that period of time.
So now for my listeners, Amanda. I'm sorry.
Amanda's typing
Melinda.
Melinda.
I'm looking at names on my screen of things that are coming across. I apologize, Melinda.
That's okay.
In terms of deciding Clerk Jeffrey's fate now, who's ultimately makes the decision once the investigation is done and and all the information is out there? Is that the sole responsibility of Mayor Gingrich then?
Yes, it's easier if he does it. However, interestingly enough, I did have a conversation with one of our assistant city attorneys after the meeting on Monday, and basically kind of indicated that if she's not let go, like what are the steps for us to have her removed? And I was told that I would have to submit a separate request or communication after the findings of WEC, really, and then it would have to be approved because with a supermajority of 2/3 of the council, and that is for neglect or negligence. I'm sorry, of duty.
Okay.
Which I'm pretty sure we're not going to get that, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to do it.
But at the same time, if the rest of the alders, want to be reelected, well, they better be,
And I think
they better be careful with what they don't do.
If we see the transparency that you've requested, Melinda, I would think that, this is going to put a lot of pressure, and I would think that there will be people in the community. I know that, like the group that's backstage, there's many of them from the Green Bay area, and they will be there in force, to support.
Yeah, and I mean, we hope so. I do think, and that's part, honestly, this is part of why I'm putting the pressure on. Like, I'm not letting go, and you could probably see I had a lot of news channels cover this, and we were interviewed, and I just don't want to let it go. So putting the pressure on, and the mayor's got a mayoral race coming up, and I believe that that's going to affect his decision making here. Well, so that's why, he put her on leave.
One would hope so. We hate to see another snafu like this 2.5 months after we had the last one, but I think it's brought this to the front burner now, and maybe something good can happen in Green Bay for the folks there. I do see that Corey has her hand raised.
Wait 1 second before you go, or call on Corey. When is the meeting where people can put their input, the citizens can put their input in?
Okay, so this next Tuesday, the 21st at 6 o'clock, our request is going to the full council. So it made it through protection and policy with the actually unanimous agreement, but it will be going to full council on Tuesday. So it would be great to get people there. And honestly, if anybody has a chance to look up the other resolution that we're going to be voting on, well, we're not doing a resolution, we took ours out, but another item, which is a resolution by John Shelton, please look that up because it's a economic and social bill of rights that is just over the top. So we would love to see people speak on that. And I've got some talking points that I've passed out through our protest, or our group.
Yeah, and
okay, so
we'll be there.
So if there's anybody listening who wants to participate in this, get in touch with me, and I can get you in touch with Melinda if you're looking for those talking points.
Absolutely.
So next Tuesday night, we've got to overwhelm
pack
the
that
Green
thing
Bay
and
City
make
Council.
it standing room only.
Yeah, we have to be at capacity. There's no question.
Because with Harry's sentencing, I truly believe, and he even mentioned himself, being that there was standing room only, he feels that that made a difference, and I believe that 100%. So we need to do the same thing up at that council meeting.
And we have two alders here who went out and did this and took it upon themselves to call for transparency, and we have to continue to support that kind of behavior too, because that's what we expect from our elected officials.
Exactly.
So go ahead, Corey B.
Yes.
Thank you for your patience.
Well, I've got about 7 different things now. I can't remember everything I was going to bring up.
Fire away, Corey.
I was first going to ask Melinda if she is seeing some support from the other alders. It sounds like protection and policy. She did. They unanimously went through, so that is good. But this is becoming more, I believe, the nonpartisan issues, the other side of the aisle in the Green Bay City Council. These two are really outnumbered. There's, I think, 11 on the council, Melinda. I'm not sure, but the rest of them are pretty left. I mean, so we do that issue, but when it comes to elections, this one they can't really deny. So they have to address it. Their constituents can't continue to allow them a pass on this. But ultimately, this is Mayor Genrich's. He is the one who can fire her because the council does not have enough support to actually remove her. But ultimately, who will he replace her with? I mean, if he decides to, ask for her resignation, he's just gonna it's just gonna replace her with another just the same. And unfortunately, it'll feel like a win, but it's I'm not real optimistic that it would be. So what I feel like it has to be is a resolution or a push from the people to get him to resign, get him to not run, because it needs to reflect on him. He picked her, he put her in office there. This needs to reflect on him. So Melinda's doing her job from that end, but I think from the other side, the reality is Mayor Genrich has failed his constituents over and over and over again.
Yep.
And he's coming up for election. And we just have to show that we're not going to take it anymore. Hopefully this is something that will fire people up. And along with the other Shelton's resolution that's coming, I think that makes it's a double whammy. They're both two things that many of us that are, passionate about elections and passionate about saving our republic are would be interested in knowing both the resolution and being there to support Melinda. So the other thing is, this is a statewide issue. We talk about it being Green Bay, but this is a statewide issue. Green Bay is one of the Wisconsin 5 cities that was targeted by Zuckerbucks. And again, this affects everybody in the state. What happens in Green Bay could be the difference in the midterms. We've heard this for how long now, that what happens in Brown County will determine the next election. We were told that what happened in Brown County was going to determine the last presidential race. And I believe that still stands today because of the city and Mayor Genrich. And I don't think a lot of people don't understand how important Green Bay is in that equation.
Well, back to your point about the mayor. He has allowed, I remember seeing some news articles that went out, I believe it was in 2022. I'm pretty sure it was 22, maybe it was 24. Either way, where Celeste Jeffries wasn't doing her job then either with the postcards that she's supposed to send out. And there was a third thing, and I can't remember what that one was offhand, but it's not just this incident in April or now. It's back.
Many times.
Yes, and he's allowed it.
If anybody in private employment were to make as many mistakes and errors as she's had without being terminated, I mean, if we looked at it from that perspective, if you said, you know what, this is a fireable offense. Now, I've been kind of pushing. I really want to try to get people to look at the side of what absentee ballots in themselves cost the taxpayers. Let's just talk about that. But in this case, I did the math. Okay, so we're not talking about a ton of money in postage, but add labor. Talk about printing. Talk about curing these ballots. When these ballots are returned, who decides which ballot? What if you get 2 ballots back from one of these people? Who decides which ballot gets counted? Could they be different? Do we get to open them up and see if they're the same from the same person? Those are the things that I think a lot of people who work the elections are being convinced that we do it all fair. And trust me, we double check. Trust me, they'll never get double counted. It's not about them being double counted as much as it's which ballot did get counted.
Right.
And as a voter, if I had my ballot and I sent another one and I was sending one back, or or somebody else picked mine up and decided to send one back, which one would the clerk count? So there is some of that. I'd like to see that they've actually received each one back. I would like to see them spoil them, like on video, and show us for voter confidence that the extra ballots were taken care of. Not just we called them, they sent them back. Don't worry, we went and picked them up. Whatever their excuses are, we need more concrete evidence that it was handled correctly.
So, I have a quick question. These extra ballots that were sent out, can we confirm that they were sent to the same address?
I don't think we know any of that. I think that's all going to come out in the investigation. I mean, I'm assuming that these, they print a batch of labels and they just accidentally printed another batch of labels. So
okay, because that goes back to your question was which ballot. So if by chance some of them went to a different address, you're right. How do I know that my ballot's going to be the one that's counted and not this duplicate ballot?
Yeah, there's too many questions, not enough answers, and not enough accountability.
So Corey, you live in Green Bay.
I actually live in Hobart, so I don't get to, she's not my clerk.
Okay, but you're very familiar with that area and what's happened. So
what happens in Green Bay directly affects me being right here in Hobart. Right. It is the commerce of Brown County, and as a business owner, it matters to me what happens in Brown County, and it should matter to everybody in Brown County what's happening in Green Bay, because it affects you. You might work in Green Bay, you might, you may not be able to vote there, but your employees are graduating out of the Green Bay schools. I mean, there's a lot that is connected to being a nearby community, but that same scenario goes statewide in reality.
So Corey, do you think with this coming to the front burner the way it has now in the last couple of weeks or the last week, do you think with an interim clerk or whoever is going to administer the election and oversee it, do you think we're going to have a situation where someone's going to follow it to the letter of the law and make sure that there aren't like bad things happening on their watch in the interim, or do you think we still might see fishy things?
Well, I mean, it's really hard to say because this could just be a shiny ball that we're looking at while something else is happening in the background and we're not paying attention to, because this is getting a lot of attention statewide. So, there's a little concern that this is kind of distracting us from what we should be really paying attention to. So it's hard to say, but I'll tell you, there's a few people that are really, key players in election integrity that, I personally want to reach out to and see if I can get a Jay Stone and a, Julie Seegers and a Harry Waite and a Jim Spodek to come to the city council meeting, because those names are going to be showing them how much the state cares about it. So, I'm going to make some calls and ask some of those people that maybe it's worth it to take a ride up next Tuesday.
Absolutely. I agree, Corey.
Because then they can also explain how the elections have been going from their investigations.
Maybe we'll put out a call to action and we'll put some pressure, not pressure, we'll politely ask some of the hot people, those people that you were talking about, if they would be willing to make the trip up. And Corey, I think the other thing you said was that Melinda should run for mayor. Is that what you said? Because
I think I heard that too.
Did I say it?
Oh, you're funny.
No, you didn't say it, but I think that's a great idea.
Be careful, Melinda. There might be some campaign pins coming your way.
I was going to say we can have pins made easily by next Tuesday. I know a guy.
I would be door knocking for that.
I know a guy.
Well, thank you all.
We actually know somebody that was thinking about running for mayor. I'm not saying the name because I don't know if he was serious, but
Oh, I know what you're talking
yeah,
about. We're not going to say.
no, we're not going to say the name.
No.
But anyway, but yeah, so that goes back to what my cousin says. Well, it's an honest mistake because all these labels come out so fast and furious that you just don't pay attention. Well, I'm sorry, but when I care about elections as much as I do, I would sure hope that a clerk would care about the elections as well, to the point where they want to make sure that this kind of a mistake does not happen.
Well, I definitely heard some frustration in the poll workers or whatever their roles were of these two ladies who spoke.
Right. Yeah. And you know, and one other thing that I had brought up to my cousin on Friday was, you know, it makes no sense to me how what Harry Waite did, and he had emailed everybody involved. I'm just going to put it that way because it's quicker. Don't send these ballots. This is what I did. And when you have a mayor that's in the same office as your clerk, and the clerk doesn't take the time to look at these labels and say, wait a minute, did you actually order a ballot and have it sent somewhere else? And she goes, well, I can see where that would happen. Like I said, they come out so fast and furious. No, I'm sorry, but you need to either get a different job because you're obviously not paying attention to details. Think about that happening in a factory. You're not paying attention to details. How many defective items you would have because you're not paying attention. Oh, it's because it's fast and furious. I don't care. Pay attention. And that's how this country's gone down the hill, in my opinion. Is because people don't pay attention to the details.
Or they do pay attention to the details and they want duplicate ballots going out.
And they don't care. Oh, go ahead, Melinda, you got your hand up.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I just want to clarify, Scott, that you mentioned the two ladies. Well, one of them was Sandy Juneau, who used to be the clerk for Brown County. And when she was there, she was saying how, you know, this is sometimes people aren't meant to do certain jobs that are they have to be very detail oriented, and I don't think that this clerk has that skill set. She did a great job, and so she has a lot of credibility considering she oversaw all of Brown County for many years.
Oh, I'd say I did not know that about her.
Yeah, so I just wanted to clarify that. And the other lady that spoke actually was in favor. They didn't say all of what she's, they don't, you know, obviously they only use part of it, but she was saying how awesome Celestine is to work with and what a great job she does. So she was like, you know, they were showing two sides there on that. But there was something that came up I wanted to answer. Our city attorney is going to be, two of our law department staff will be helping with the election. They did make our current deputy clerk into the interim clerk. That's Stacy Menke. She's going to be the clerk for the August 11th primary, and then our law department is going to be helping with that. I just want everybody to know that, and I do trust them as far as the attorneys.
Okay.
Well, that's good to hear, and I think, you know, what you've done and not just now, but this one really is going to magnify the kind of alder you are. I mean, and what you've done, I think you've earned. If you say you trust the people that are being put in place, I think that'll mean something to people after what you did and your call for transparency in this investigation. Now let's hope WEC does their job the way they're supposed to, and that they investigate this very thoroughly for their report, whatever, you know, input they come back with.
Yeah, exactly. And I do want to clarify that I was careful in how I worded that I trust our attorneys. I didn't say anything else, just so you know.
Right.
I want to make sure you hear that.
Caught that, Melinda.
Yep, I caught that too.
You're going to make a fine mayor.
Yes,
Melinda.
you will.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
Not saying
that
I'm running,
sounds
but
that sounds
thank you
pretty
for saying
positive.
Sounded like an acceptance speech almost, that you accepted the nomination.
Backstage, Melinda. Yay.
Funny. Okay.
Mayor
Any other
X
questions?
sounds pretty good to me.
Sounds a lot better than Mayor Gingrich.
Oh yeah.
You probably all know this, but it is Genrick,
What is it?
not Rich. It's Genrick. It's pronounced like it's an R-I-C-K. It's spelled with an H, but it is pronounced Genrick. And
Okay,
everybody says it wrong, but
I didn't know
I did
that.
not know that, so I stand corrected. Mayor Gingrich.
I didn't know if you were trying to do it on purpose because some people do that, but it's Genrick.
No, I did not know. I was pronouncing it the way I thought it was supposed to be pronounced. So my bad.
Well,
on
don't
that
feel
one.
bad. Don't feel bad. Even the governor, who is supposedly pretty close to, said it wrong at the coal pile meeting. He said Genrich, and I just thought, oh, that was kind of. I don't want to be mean,
Mr.
but
Grinch.
it was just kind of interesting because they're supposedly pretty close.
Yeah.
And he said it wrong.
All right. Well, I'm hopeful that some good will come of this, and that we can begin to straighten things out in Green Bay, because, as Corey said, Green Bay is one of the 5 in Wisconsin,
Yep,
and
it is.
It's very important that we start straightening out and especially these 5 cities that played a pivotal role in elections, that we straighten the mess out. And
Absolutely.
so let's keep our fingers crossed and knock on wood and say a prayer that things will be fixed in Green Bay, one of the 5, and then we can maybe start looking at the other 4.
Yeah, and I was looking at some campaign finance reports yesterday and today, and looking at the top donors, like say of the Democrat Party, George Soros' money is still flowing in pretty darn quick, and there's a lot of it. So I will say that Elon Musk actually outdid George Soros, but that's a different story.
Well, they're looking into him too, whether he crossed the line, and
that's funny because they don't look into the other people that from the left that put money in.
We'll talk about that another time, because I do want to hit very quickly before we go off air. I do have to hit on this subject because I said I would. It was in the promo, and I think there's somebody back here who kind of generated my thought on that, because she put a post out, and I'm not going to say any names, but there was a post on social media, and it was about RACC money. And the people in the backstage and our audience, Red, they know exactly how I feel about RACC.
Yep.
Which is money that is distributed by Robin Boss to candidates around the state. And my question to people, because in this conversation, there's some people that may or may have not taken some RACC, and I'm not going to put any names out there at this point tonight, but it doesn't matter. My question is to our listeners is, once you take that money, can you get out from under that influence that is surely going to come your way no matter what the amount was? Is it as simple as saying, oh no, I took your money, but now I'm not gonna abide by your rules? I mean, is that possible?
I would love to know that, because I was really surprised to see that at least one of the Secretary of State candidates that ran for an assembly position took RACC money, and now
in previous elections.
Yes, now running as Secretary of State, which has ran before. When they ran before, they took RACC money, and I'm like, I thought that was only for assembly, but apparently it's not. So it makes me wonder, and that's why I was looking for the financial reports today. I want to see what's on those reports.
So if anybody's got any thoughts, that's really my question to you. Once you take RACC money, can you get out from under that pressure that's going to come your way? The expectations are that when you take RACC money, you do some of the things that the people like Robin Boss and the people who've given you the money, you do what you're told. And I think it's very hard to get out from under that RACC money, and that's why I just oppose anybody taking it, because I'm sorry, but when people hand you money, there's favors expected of you. And
we've been told by several people that have seen others take it, they do not get out from underneath it. So
maybe the people that maybe tried to get out from under it, we know some of the things. I mean, we've talked to some reps who've been threatened by the establishment. And are you going to be strong enough to stand up to what's coming your way should you decide to back off on any promises that might have green? Go ahead, Melinda.
Thank you. So you probably saw that I did post I did make a post in defense, and I've talked to several of the candidates that have been a part of like receiving RACC money, and I just want to caution everybody, because I feel like the candidates get discouraged, and there's one in particular that is very discouraged, and I understand it. And I know several candidates that are current assembly people that received RACC money in the past. They're continuing to receive it. And I'm going to go ahead and say, like, for instance, Joy Gobin. And she's told me she does not bow to everything she's told. And I hope that's okay for me to say it, but she doesn't. And I've seen personally, I know she's reached out to me and asked me to come and testify down at the Capitol, and I think she's doing a great job. And there's others, I could name others, but I just want to put that out there as an example. And I just don't think we should vilify everybody that takes money from RACC. I get money. I've gotten 100% funded for my campaigns from different people. And also, like the Republican Party has, paid for text messages, things like that for me, and that they don't come to me and say, you have to do this or that. If I want their opinion about something, I'll ask, and they're happy to give me their opinion. It doesn't mean I'm doing it exactly as they've asked, or, anything like that. It's, I want everybody to just be careful, because it is not easy being a candidate for office. That Alder Grant and I have been put under, we've been put through the ringer with the whole wanted posters, things like that, those kind of things. We already have those outside things happening, but to have people that are quote unquote on our side that are being negative, it really discourages people. So I just want to put that out there. I don't think everybody's negatively affected by the RACC money.
And I respect your opinion on that. And what I can tell you is that, so I come from the left, and the Democrats have their equivalent to RACC. And when I was a candidate for the state assembly, I was taken down to Madison and schmoozed like they do with any prospective candidates. And I was promised everything under the sun.
But
if I joined their little club, but it came with stipulations. It came with, we will tell you when you can vote on certain bills, or when you can vote against the party. We will tell you when we know we have enough votes, and that's just the way the game is played down here. And because I saw it on the left, and I've spoken to people like Tim Rampton, who served 2 terms in the state assembly and speaks very negatively about RACC. I suspect the same kind of gamemanship is going on. And now you're telling me something different with Representative Gobin has taken the money and doesn't cave to them. And I mean, I guess I would have to examine her voting record to on my own, because I don't take anything on face value. But I do respect your input.
Thank you. Yeah, and well, I'm here. I'm highlighting Joy, but that's just something that came to me. But she's, if you look at the now I can't remember the name of the group down in Madison, their family, I'd have to look it up, but she is backed by them, and actually they backed me as well. Jelaine Appling used to be in charge of it. Now it's Daniel Disner. I can't think of it right now, but they endorse her as having, I think it was a perfect record when it comes to conservative Christian values, just as an example.
Okay, thank you. Corey B., go ahead.
You're welcome.
I know this is running late, but I have to speak on this. I agree with Melinda. I think we have beaten up our own grassroots, we the people candidates. We threw them in and out because they took RACC money. But the reality is there are good people who have never done this before, and they understand that they're risking it, taking it out from RACC. So you've got candidates that are fully all in by RACC. They went and did all the training, and they're lapping it all up. They're trying to learn everything. They just want to run their elections, and they're being advised by the Republican Assembly campaign committee on how and what to do to win an election. And there are candidates that are being told they're not in a winnable election. We're not going to give you much help because it's not winnable. And, this is where any little help, those candidates that are just working their 50-hour plus week a job and trying to step up like Melinda did and Jen did for these servitude roles, when we, the people, don't recognize them as worthy of our time and help, because a lot of us have more time and talent than we do money. So let them take the money. Don't beat them up over it. We still need to knock doors for some of these. I can't think actually of an assembly rep that didn't take the money besides Tim Ramthun. Maybe Lindy Brill maybe didn't. I don't know.
Well,
no, she didn't. I looked today.
But I'm not talking about the $10,000 worth of money. I mean, when they do this RACC money, these candidates are required to pay by a certain time. They get a discount of $1,000. Otherwise, they have to put in $10,000. There's no way some of these candidates can have that. But yet RACC comes along and says, here, we can get you flyers for this price. It's cheaper. It's more efficient. Those little ways of being helped by RACC, lump them in with the Mark Bournes out there that get $100,000 from RACC for their campaign. I mean, we can't do that. We have to use discernment and find the good candidates that took a little bit of help and work harder for them.
See, and where I would question is, okay, so we have, and it's being suggested that everybody takes RACC except for maybe Lindy Brill, and we know Tim Ramthun didn't. And Tim's not a representative anymore, in all fairness. But so Lindy, maybe Lindy is the only one of the 54 who didn't take RACC money. I don't know. I'd have to look at the financials, but I can tell you that, like, I can look at Lindy's voting record, and Lindy never would have voted for a 20-week abortion bill. Lindy never would have voted against the wedding barn, but yet that legislation passed. And did that? I mean, that wasn't conservative votes that allowed those to pass. And were they made to vote because of the favors that were given to them? I don't know, but I'm just putting it out there.
Well, and I know a state candidate right now that's he's getting some donations from regular people like us. He's not taking anything from the party or from RACC, because technically, like I said, it's supposed to be for assembly. That's why I was surprised the other person did. I don't know if he did this cycle, but he did in the past cycle. And this person is traveling across the state, everywhere, and doing this without a team. And he's getting the job done. And they are trying to silence the heck out of him. So it just begs to question why some people can get away with doing all this work.
Well, I think the interesting thing, talk about the same person, is he has been endorsed by the Regular Joe show. And if this is the same one I'm thinking about, that'll go a long way to help him. But not everybody gets that, and not everybody is the candidate that you're speaking. He's got the platform and he's got the support, and we the people are pulling hard for him. But there are smaller candidates
who Joe
that don't
endorsed,
that much
to be
help.
honest.
What's that?
I don't know who Joe endorsed it, to be honest.
But
that's fine.
Anyway, I guess we all have our views on RACC, and maybe I have to look at it differently. My gut is RACC is bad, and just based on conversations I've had with primarily Tim really opened my eyes to RACC and how things are used. But with that said, unless anybody else has a comment to make, I'm going to give Melinda the last night.
I was going to say, I do know somebody that got a huge endorsement in my eyes today, but it's not my place to say it, and I cannot wait until it's out there.
It's coming out, yes. So who Jen is talking, or Red is talking about is our guest from last week.
Braden Meyer
received a very good endorsement today, and he will be revealing that in the coming days.
Yep,
I'm sure, and we're just gonna.
I'm excited.
That's his to do, so we won't do it. But
yeah, because there might be 2 more coming from that one. So
exciting news.
Yeah.
But I want to give Melinda the last word of the night, because I know she's got some meetings coming up. So, Melinda, when do you need people to show up? We need to remind them again.
Okay, can you hear me? I'm sorry, it's kind of going in and out here.
Yes, we can hear you just fine, loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if my internet's wonky or what, but yeah, so next Tuesday, July 21st at 6 o'clock at City Hall, 2nd floor in the council chambers. And we're going to be discussing our request for this report to come back on August 18th for the full council. And then there's also that resolution that that John Shelton put forth, and it's also been co-sponsored by Alders Presley, Alder Prophet, and Alder Jim Hutchison. So and I don't know if you've had a chance to read it, but it is a doozy, and it'd be great to have them come, or have everybody come and speak on that to try to kill that particular item.
Okay.
We purposely didn't say a word about it on Monday night because we wanted our thing to pass, and then we're gonna go with double barrels on Tuesday.
And Melinda, anybody who wanted to come and use their 3 minutes or whatever is allotted in Green Bay, you have talking points that people can help prepare for speaking.
Yes. I know I put them in our group that we have, and then Cynthia took screenshots of it and put it in there. But yes, I can pass that along. And speaking on both items, the election integrity stuff is great as well. So both things, and we're hoping that one's going to pass no problem. But I don't put anything past them to try to change it where they take out part of the wording, because I know Alyssa didn't want to do it. And I do want to give a shout out to Bill Morgan, because I know that Alder Grant and I have been talked about as being, one of the few that are conservatives on council, and Bill Morgan is right there with us. And he joined on, and we co-sponsored this letter. I wrote the letter, but I asked him if they would want to be on there as well, to our attorney, for all these questions prior to the primary.
Awesome. Well,
thank you so much for doing that.
Melinda, I want to
You're welcome.
On behalf of the people of Green Bay and all of my listeners, because as Corey said, so goes Green Bay, so goes the state. So
yep.
What you did in Green Bay, thank you so much for putting yourself out there. It'll look good on your resume for mayor. I assure you of that. And I think everybody, when you started speaking earlier, I don't know if you were able to see the screen, but I saw the applause coming in.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't see it.
Okay, well, they were coming in, and maybe I can ask everybody, clap your hands for Melinda, because everybody knows how to work the chat, so let her see the applause. There you see some of the applause coming in.
Oh, okay. Now I see it. Thank you, everybody, and I appreciate the kind words. And yeah, I guess sometimes you just get to a point where you're like, I'm going to go all out there. Not to say I didn't want to do this before, but um, it's just this. It's given us an open opportunity because she's, messed up yet again, and so I look at it as an opportunity to relieve her of her duties.
Absolutely. So thank you for joining us, Melinda, because I didn't know if you'd be in, but I'm glad that you were in because you were able to explain things. You're front and center behind everything that's going to be happening in Green Bay over the next couple of weeks, and it was a pleasure to have you in here and to have your input.
Absolutely.
Thank you again.
Yeah, you're welcome, and thank you. I just happened to see it come up, so I thought I would join in.
Absolutely, I'm glad you
Awesome.
did.
Well, folks, we ran a little bit long, and that's not always a bad thing because we were off last week one night but I'll tell you, the network was dark 2 nights last week. We had our issues with the leaky roof that I had to get taken care of.
Yeah, because it was going on my computer.
And AJ, the Rip and Rabbit, didn't have any power because half of Missouri was out of power for 24 hours.
I don't even remember
whatever
how long
the extent
it was. It was for a long time.
So hopefully we've reached a weather pattern here where we can remain on air. Although tomorrow night we are not on air because.
But it's not due to that. It's due to the President of the United States.
Thanks to President Trump and actually he can thank us because we would have kept millions of viewers from tuning into his address of the nation had we gone on tomorrow night. So AJ and I and Red made the decision that we would just be dark tomorrow, and we will be watching President Trump in the backstage.
It will not be broadcast.
It will not be broadcast, and then we'll have a discussion because.
And that will not be broadcast either.
Corey can wipe my tears because I'm expecting big things and I want big things, and she's gonna have to tell me trust the plans. Trust the plan, Screech, because I may not hear everything that I want to hear, and I don't know, maybe AJ will be back here because AJ and I had a long discussion this afternoon, and we both have some expectations about what we want to see come from tomorrow night, and we're wondering if we're actually going to see them. So we're going to need some people back here telling us to trust the plan.
Well, and Corey just said maybe we could have a pre-Screech party before the president starts speaking.
There we go. The Backstage Lounge is open, and it's not going to be broadcast. So come on back. If you're listening on YouTube and Rumble and you want to watch President Trump's speech with a great group of people, come on over to Rip and Rabbit Hole tomorrow night, and we'll watch it, and then we'll talk about it. We'll break it down. Don't forget to bring your snacks.
I was just going to say
We're going to have our post-address debriefing, and we're all going to turn the cameras on, and I'm going to take a selfie of us all sitting around the table eating. So with that, Red, we're going to shut up now and stop wasting people's time because
we have a republic to save.
Have a good night, folks, and we'll see you tomorrow night for an off-air gathering in the VIP Backstage Lounge. Have a great night. All right, I think we are off air. I'm going to keep an eye on it for a second, but I think you are free to move about the cabin. If anybody's got anything they want to add or say. Whoop.
I see Melinda, but that was awesome that she came back here.
What was that, Corey?
Appreciated Melinda.
Oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
see Melinda on, but it was nice of her to come back.
If it's not